Today on JTV, we'll explore Ikebana, the Japanese art of floral design. It takes floral design to a whole new level, where we find relaxation and therapy through the art and beauty of arranging flowers. To create Ikebana, the Japanese art of floral design, we need the proper tools. So let's take a look at the tools we'll use today. The first thing is our pin holder. This is going to stand in instead of the normal artesia foam we would use when we create an arrangement. The pin holder has sharp pins that are set into the base of a lead weight. It gives it weight and allows us to place that into the bottom of the container. Our stems are then inserted into those pins, and that's what holds the flowers upright. In today's arrangement, I have a wonderful receptacle that was given to me as a present. It has the kenzan in the middle, and the kenzan is recessed down into a beautiful sculptural piece of wood. The other tool that we use today, rather than our floral design knife, is a set of shears, Japanese cutters, that allow us to cut stems, be they woody or regular flower stems, but giving us that precise cut that we need to place the stems into the kenzan. For our receptacle today, we just have to add water to the area where the kenzan is. That water will feed our flowers. We also have one other tool, which is our JTV trick of the week. Many times when we're dealing with kenzans, they may get tossed into a box or may get damaged a little bit in shipping, or perhaps we've tried to stick a really heavy woody stem into that kenzan and bend those needles. We can repair those pins using a pin repair kit. This has a special tip that allows us to place it over the top of the pin and gently straighten those pins. We place it over the top and straighten the pins. It allows us to keep our art form mechanics in tip-top shape. The other end has a special cleaning tool. Perhaps we'll have leaves that get trapped down in there afterwards, and we want to clean out any debris by just using that pin and placing it between the other pins and pulling any debris out. This little tool comes in handy when we're creating the art of Ikebana. For today's arrangement, we have 3 placements that go into our kenzan. Those 3 placements are known as shin, soe, and te. With those 3 placements, we have representations of heaven, earth, and man. They also talk about them as being truth, supporting, and moderating. Let's take a look at those for a minute. When we're creating our arrangement, our first line representation will be the one that represents heaven. The second one will be the one that represents earth. And the in-between represents man. The other important thing to note is if we're looking at this arrangement from the top, these 3 placements form a triangle. That's an important rule that goes along with Ikebana. One of the things that's important to remember is this type of floral design has many rules that go with it that allow you to create natural beauty. There are other interesting things that also come about that wouldn't normally be in regular floral design. For example, I went out and gathered all the material for today's project from the garden, but I wanted to show you this specifically. One of the things that I noted way back in 1978 when I attended the Ikenoba School of Floral Design in Japan was that a wonderful piece of foliage like this that might have been damaged by bugs was extremely valuable when it was placed into an art form of Ikebana. What that means is this plant was wonderful enough that bugs chose to chew on it, and it showed the natural interaction between nature and plant material. So perhaps I want to use 3 hosta leaves. And if I were to use this one hosta leaf as my heaven placement, another one as my man placement, and a third as my earth placement. Now notice those still form 3 triangles, and this wonderful hosta leaf has all of those pretty areas where bugs have actually been on it. We don't normally think about that, but Ikebana is a time for us to reflect on how beautiful nature is in every single aspect. It's interesting. I picked some viburnum to use for this, and if we actually look at this singular piece of viburnum, nature itself has designed Ikebana. We have our long heaven placement, our shorter moderating placement that represents earth, and we also have the supporting one in the center. Nature itself actually does that design. For us, our job today will be to create something that's almost as beautiful as nature. Remember that you can use any type of floral material. One of the things that they suggest in Ikebana is using material that are all occurring at the same time. So that's why I went out into the garden and picked specific ones. Notice this interesting sunflower in the fact that we have one blossom that's open and several other blossoms that are showing the different deterioration of the plant itself. That's natural, and that's part of the beauty that is the art form Ikebana. So we'll start with our initial placement, our shin placement. That represents heaven and also represents the truth. Now, in regular floral design, we might be curious to take off that one piece. That might bother us. But in this case, having the fruit hanging and that barren branch is all part of the design we're experiencing. We'll allow our hosta leaf to be another placement down at the bottom. That's our earth or supporting placement. We can reinforce that later on if we want to make it stronger and make the balance more correct. But right now, let's keep it very simple. Our next placement then will be our man placement. In between heaven and earth, moderating between the 2 factors. Something as simple as that can be our beautiful Ikebana art form. I can take some design liberties and reinforce this by using another hosta leaf. I also may want to use another piece of my sedum as a balance between the 3. These are auxiliary placements. I'm going to adjust this one back to give more dimension, and again, so that I am making sure that I have that wonderful triangular placement when I'm looking down over the top of the design. Demonstrating and playing with this technique is all part of the fun that's the art form of Ikebana. There are so many rules and countless numbers of books that have been written about this subject matter. You can go to any bookstore or pop online and find hundreds of listings all about Ikebana and the different schools and different styles of design. It's a completely different way for us to embrace another culture with this product. Something like this becomes an intervention with flowers. It's a soul-searching method, maybe even a form of relaxation for us that's completely different than any other type of floral design that we do.